The Saints are holding their first part of training camp at the campus of UC Irvine. We find our NFL insider Jonathan Jones in the land of the anteaters to talk about Saints training camp. They are going to get back to NOLA eventually, but let's start with one of their star players, JJ, and that's Alvin Kamara. How close are both sides to a new deal?
I don't really know that they're particularly close right now. I think one can get done. Like, here's the thing about Kamara's contract. When he signed it a couple of years ago, he was never playing in 2025 under the terms of the deal because the cap hit becomes $29 million, and no one in their right mind has a running back in today's NFL with a cap hit of $29 million. So this was always, 2024 was always forever and ever the essential end of the contract. And so we don't know the particulars because the Saints don't want to get into it publicly, but you can guess what this ultimately is, that he's going to want some form of guaranteed money in 2024, which would frankly be cosmetic because he's going to make the team in week one and then his money would be guaranteed anyway. And he would probably want some form of guarantee in 2025 under the terms of a new deal. This would essentially be an extension where you would rip up 2025, that he would stick around much longer. 29 years old, very important for what these Saints are doing in this offense. But I don't believe, Tommy, that the Saints are motivated or moved rather by what San Francisco did with Christian McCaffrey, for example. I think that they believe in their process. They know how they are building their team. And so I think the evidence that he's out here, that he is, we see him there taking that screen, I think something ultimately is going to be done because both sides want something to be done, but we're not going to be talking about it like it's, some record-breaking running back contract whenever it does happen.
JJ, Kamara hoping for a new deal, but also hoping to get this team back to the postseason, something they have failed to do the past two seasons, and a failure that a lot of Saints fans, I think, put and pile on head coach Dennis Allen. Third year at the helm for this head coach, and the pressure is on.
There's no question about it. And I talked to him just a little bit ago, standing right here, about that urgency. And I said, look, Dennis, you're always feeling a sense of urgency every year in the NFL. But this team especially, a slightly older roster. I think last year they were the second oldest roster in the NFL. You have sort of, pushed a lot of salary cap, kicking the can down the road, if you will, the last several years with these Saints. And so it needs to happen, right? It really needs to happen. And he understands that, but he also says, listen, we are not worried about the outside noise. We're worried about our own standard and raising that standard, meeting that standard. Remember, Dennis Allen has been a member of this organization for the better part of the last 2 decades on the defensive side as a coach and coordinator, and then, of course, becoming the head coach a couple of years ago. He understands that this is an opportunity for this team if they get quality quarterback play from Derek Carr in Clint Kubiak's new offensive system. They are in one of the weaker divisions, if not the weakest division in football in the NFC South. And, of course, he captains a defense that last year was really, really good. Top 10, top 5 in third and fourth down defense. And what I just saw out here at practice for 2.5 hours, no reason to believe that they will not continue to stay in the top 5.
JJ, you brought up Kubiak. He's been coaching for about a decade and a half, but this is one of his most high-profile positions, if not the most high-profile here. What are they saying, the Saints that is, about having him be calling the plays and what this offense will look like in 24?
Yeah, so for almost 20 years, there was the Sean Payton offense. And even when Sean left, it was Pete Carmichael Jr. as the offensive play caller. And then, of course, he moves on, and now it's Clint Kubiak, who obviously comes, from San Francisco, where he was the pass game coordinator, comes out of that Kyle Shanahan system, but also, of course, his father, Gary Kubiak, who's been doing it for so long. And so this is something where you're going to want to establish the run. They do want to take a lot of elements from what we have seen from San Francisco the last couple of years and bring them here. Yeah, look, there's always going to be growing pains no matter what sort of offensive scheme scheme you are installing. And Derek Carr just said to me a little bit ago, yeah, it's a new scheme, but I've had to learn about 8 different schemes in my career as a quarterback in the NFL. When I look at this team, and today was a rough one because the offensive line, they had a vet day for their center, Eric McCoy. They have a rookie left tackle, and Tali Fuaga. And look, this defensive line is coming after this group in a lot of 3rd and long situations at the practice out here today. They're going to need some receivers to step up. They're going to need Chris Olave to take the next step. Rashid Shaheed, they just paid, and he's a solid number 2. I don't know who their number 3 receiver is right now. They're going to have to get that figured out. Taysom Hill is playing every position out here but quarterback. And I think he could even play some fullback later on this season. So they do have some pieces, but you have to see how the offensive line is going to gel. I loved the way Derek Carr finished the season when they were trying to make a run at the playoffs, but they put themselves in too great a hole to begin the first half of the season. And again, you need to find the guy on this team who, when it's 3rd down, that's who Derek Carr is going to more times than not, and everybody on the field and everyone in the Superdome knows it, and he still makes the catch to convert for first down.
Sticking with the offense here, JJ, we are hearing that another guy who's starting to step up, really turn some heads, is a rookie quarterback, Spencer Rattler, as he continues to compete for that backup role behind Derek Carr. But sticking also with Derek Carr here, I do want to ask you, I understand that just moments ago you had a chance to catch up with the starting quarterback. How did that go? Tell us more.
Yeah, well, look, even on Spencer Rattler, I know a lot of folks are wondering about him, so we do have to touch on the rookie, of course. This is a guy who he's kind of trading off with Jake Haener on 2nd and 3rd team reps. Again, this was a day that the defense won, and yesterday the defense won. We had Cam Jordan standing here a little bit ago and asked, how did it go today for the defense? And he said landslide, which, of course, Derek took a slight umbrage to, would have disagreed a little bit with that. Spencer Rattler is flashing from everything that I can tell, and sources that I speak to here. But, he's a developmental rookie. Right now, it's the Derek Carr show. And he is confident. He has done a better job, he says, of blocking out the noise, something that he really wanted to do last season, that he tried to do a better job of, because, frankly, in the first decade of his career, he did a very poor job of it. He allowed a lot of social media to rattle around in his brain, so he's evolved in that sense. And he is comfortable and confident in his station with this team and in the NFL. Is it a prove-it year? I don't know necessarily for Derek Carr, because it would be really hard for the Saints to get out of his contract in 2025. They have some mechanisms, and far be it from me to say, I don't know if the Saints can do this with the salary cap, because we've been saying that for a dozen years, and it hasn't been true. But it's a big year for Carr, no doubt, and he wants to have a 2024 like he finished 2023. And he even admitted, as a humble guy himself, he knows that he had a really solid into the year. And so I think that they can continue that. But again, it's going to be about who they can trust throwing the football to. Can Olave take that next step? Is Rashid Shaheed going to show that consistency? I don't know that the Saints have seen that so far in training camp, but of course, another month till we finally get out to the regular season.
JJ, let's get back to the defense, which is winning the days, according to some. You said you talked to Cam Jordan. How excited is he to get an edge rusher and a fellow guy to team up with there in Chase Young?
Oh, my gosh. Extremely excited. They're going to be running some NASCAR packages, which that means they're going to go fast up front. And, Tommy, I was out at Raiders camp yesterday, and I was looking at the guys, and Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, and I said, man, this might be the best defensive front in football. And so I said that to Cam Jordan. I was like, is that fair? He's like, listen, everybody's going to have their opinion. They're formulating it right now. But I believe that we are the best defensive front in football. Look, a guy a name that you know, but you don't really know his game necessarily unless you're an avid fan, Carl Granderson, he is having a fantastic camp and should continue what he was able to do last season. Then you have Cam Jordan, the wily vet out here, who actually I saw him taking a lot of second team reps today because of how great Chase Young has been. Let's remember, of course, the former number 2 overall pick. He never really lived up to expectation there in Washington. Winds up getting dealt at the trade deadline to the San Francisco 49ers. Gets a few sacks in a few games, but ultimately he was more of a piece to help them win the Super Bowl, and then they decided, hey, you have some injury, a neck, not worth the risk to us. And so the Saints signed him to a deal that, with the money and the guarantees sort of protected them against if he doesn't come back from that offseason surgery, if he is not prepared. And what did he do? He comes back and is cleared off the physically unable to perform list faster than I think anyone outside of Chase Young thought that he would. And so now he's out here winning almost every rep against the rookie left tackle, Talifuaga. And that's okay. That's more or less to be expected. But Chase is on a trajectory that, if sustainable, can help bring him back to what we thought he could be when he came out in 2020. So again, long way to go, long season, no doubt, but he's feeling very comfortable and confident, and that much is evident out here with how much he is winning one-on-one and team drills every single day in these pads.
Yeah, and that's something, the confidence that has been lacking with Chase Young over the past few seasons. He's looking to prove a little bit more this upcoming season. With all this kind of being said, JJ, and all the uncertainty still surrounding this franchise, what are their chances to really capture the division? Right now, the third best odds at plus 380. Where are you leaning?
Well, I think that this is a team that clearly is going to be led by the defense. And they have shown from last season that they are up to the challenge, right? I'd love to see Marshawn Lattimore out here a little bit, but what they have done in the defensive backfield, remember, they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry in the second round, probably as a little bit of a hedge in case something happened with Marshawn. You still have DeMario there in the middle of the defense. And again, we talked about the defensive front. So if they're going to be a top 10, top 5 defense, you just need the offense to take care of the football. You need Derek Carr to be upright. And I think if he looks more like the second half Derek Carr of the 2023 season than the first half, if he doesn't have to sustain all the injuries that he did, playing hurt as much as he did, as often as he did last year, this is a team that they absolutely can. Look, I don't know that I would take them over the Bucs or the Bucs over them right now. So when you say the third best odds in the division, I like the Bucs, but also this defense, if the Saints can just put up enough points on offense and not turn the football over, and again, they need to move the six. They have to find the third down receiver. If he is not currently in the building, if Chris Olave can't step up, they have to be able to get that possession receiver. But outside of that, I do like this team in one of the weaker divisions in football to hopefully, for the first time in Dennis Allen's tenure as head coach of the New Orleans Saints, get back to the postseason.
JJ, certainly appreciate it. We'll look out for those interviews on social media. By the way, the Cam Jordan one involved a nice photo bomb, so check out that later on social media channels. There, Jonathan Jones in Irvine covering the Saints. Will be there through their second preseason game against the Niners, then go back to New Orleans to finish out that third preseason game, and then week 1 at home in the Superdome against the Carolina Panthers.